Today we're going to take you into one of Portland's top suburbs, the Wilsonville Charbonneau area.
Here you're going to find master plan communities, top-rated school districts, a bunch of unique amenities, and of course the charm of Charbonneau golf course living.
And the bonus is that this is all just about 25 minutes south of Portland and a quick drive north of Salem.
In this video, we're going to be breaking down for you why Wilsonville and Charbonneau stand out and what are some of the most popular communities and neighborhoods in these areas.
We're also going to talk real home prices and what you get for the money, lifestyle perks and trade-offs, and who this area is really for.
We're Ann and Erica. We run the Portland Life channel, spitting out videos every week of important places you should be aware of. We've got over 100 5-star reviews on Google, and we help dozens of people make the move to Portland every year. All right, so as we're heading towards Villebois, the first neighborhood we're going to show you guys, one of the big planned communities, we're kind of coming out of some of the shopping here. There's really like 3 mainstay shopping areas in the Wilsonville area. The one we just left has a Fred Meyer, which is pretty much the anchor store in this area, and it's just west of the I-5. And there's a bunch of different places around here, like there's a Walgreens. They've got some joints around here that you can eat at, actually quite a few. There's nail salons.
We Go Grill.
Oh, yeah.
A McManamans is in the parking lot as well. So you've got lots of options in terms of food. There's a Ram restaurant just on the other side of the intersection.
There's the Sonic drive-through. Like there's just a cadre of different places, eating establishments, both casual and fast food around here. But yeah, this is kind of a busy intersection area near the Fred Meyers. A lot of people turn in here. There's like 2 different Starbucks. One's attached to the Fred Meyers.
So we're about ready. We're making a left onto Wilsonville Road, which is kind of the main drag as you get off I-5 and start heading into Wilsonville, either direction.
Yep, this is the main road pretty much that you drive on when you're in Wilsonville. Now, Wilsonville is not a super big town. It actually feels kind of like a small town, but this is like the main road that kind of goes east to west that connects you really under the bridge overpass, because there's kind of 2 sections of Wilsonville to kind of give you some clarity. So Wilsonville is right off the I-5, and it's both on the east and west side of I-5. And currently we're on the west of the I-5 heading towards Villebois. And there's actually some neighborhoods down here that we can kind of show you through. So it's not just the newer planned neighborhood of Villebois. There are some great areas that we're going to take you to, but also on the east side. That's kind of the original side, and there's some shopping over there, as well as up further on I-5, the other exit. There's like a Costco and a Target and some other mainstay type of shopping. So plenty of shopping in the area. You can pretty much live in Wilsonville and stay here for a lot of your conveniences. And I know that's always important to people because they're like, where's the grocery stores and where's this and where's that? You don't really have to leave Costco on the weekends if you don't want to. And Erica, what do you know about like why people live here? You know, because a lot of people choose to be here if they are even commuting south.
Yeah, so I mean, Wilsonville has kind of a nice homey bedroom community feel. It's also got great school districts, so you're kind of removed from the craziness and the hustle and the bustle, but you have this great community feel with all of the amenities at your fingertips.
Now that we're heading towards Villebois and we're talking about Wilsonville, what is your recommendation for people who are commuting? What do you think about that?
I mean, I think it's a great option. You are going to have some traffic. We talk about this all the time, where traffic from kind of the 217 I-5 interchange down towards Wilsonville can get a little bit crowded, but it's such a great area for families. There's a ton of parks in this area, and it's a tight-knit community. And then there's housing for both segments, people who like these older homes with bigger lots, and then something more like a planned community, of which Villebois is. You're not going to get big yards here. This is one of our bigger master plan communities.
You guys, so we are currently in Villebois, so you can see on the dash cam kind of what this style of houses look like, and there really is, as Erica and I always say, there's something for everyone. It's interesting because Villebois, while it is very much a family community, and it feels that way because there's the different schools, and there's also a lot of retirees, people who want simple living. They do not want big yards, they don't want maintenance, they don't mind being a part of HOA that can take care of their yards or keep things in a certain order. There's a ton of walkability here. I mean, you can literally get out and walk. Sidewalks everywhere. There's conformity. So if you like a neighborhood that looks like it's got a plan to it, this is truly a master plan community. And we don't have a lot of them. We talk about that in videos where we just don't have these kind of planned communities. When this started, this was like the early 2000s when this community started.
And it literally just finished some new construction last year.
A lot of these homes were built in early 2000s, mid 2000s, and all the way till recent. You'll see plenty of like townhome attached type style homes. You'll see carriage houses where there's not really a yard, but like a patio and a back entrance. You'll see single family homes that have a yard, maybe back to a green space area. You'll get like a brownstone look, you know, right up here on the left, you can kind of see there's like that East Coast feel townhome with the long staircase going up. You even have apartments mixed in here, so they do have apartments. Up here on the right, there's a little convenience store area. There's a community center. There's like a town square. There is a Montessori school in here. There's an area you can rent out for little different events. But you do see a lot of walkers throughout the area because it is flat. And
a ton of parks in here, which is built in so that because you're not going to have a yard, you need places to take your pets, take your kids, have a break or have some green space. And so they have done a really great job of keeping this a very beautiful community, along with incorporating parks so that you can get out and do all of those things that you can't do in your yard.
Eric and I have done a video about Villebois specifically, so you guys can go check that out. Kind of go into depth about the types of housing, the styles, and Erica's right, like their park system here is pretty impressive. I remember we went to one in that video that had like, it was a brand new dog park, and they had, you always know it's a good dog park when they have the big dogs and the small dogs kind of separated in their own area. But what we've been driving through here recently, if you're kind of paying attention, is these are like the townhomes, and there's a variable different type of them throughout here. Different builders built in here, so it's not all one builder. I think there's been about 5 or 6 builders total throughout time that have all kind of built different styles. And you even have condos in here, believe it or not. Up here on the left is a great little park.
Yep.
And there's like a little sport court area, covered area, playground, and this is just one of many around here. And we're gonna be driving around a little bit longer here just to kind of show you guys the different styles of houses, so you can get a taste. We don't just have townhomes, we have single family homes too. Up here on the right, you can see there's some really cute little townhomes that have side yards and what appears to be some backyards. You have a lot of roundabouts in Villebois.
Here's another little park just to drive home that idea that we've got lots and lots of these things all over I mean, they're just tucked in.
There's another park. Okay, this park up here on the left, they have like a community garden. So there's lots of flowers, there's tomato bushes. There's also right next to it a clubhouse with a pool.
So something to keep in mind is sometimes there's multiple HOAs depending on the builders, what their HOAs are, and then how many amenities they're offering. The HOAs vary greatly between the older homes and newer homes, and then are you getting used to the pool or do you not get used to the pool? So these are some more recent builds. We just sold some of these last year where cottage style homes, you get a side yard, they've got a dog park attached to them that will go by. But as you can tell, they've done a really good job of maturing out the landscaping pretty quickly.
You got the tree lined streets. You can see on the left there's like mature trees and the newly planted trees on the right. So eventually this whole area is going to feel really matured in its landscaping, which sometimes new construction, when you first move in, it feels kind of barren, you know, everything's like, there's not a lot of mature anything.
Or these big old trees that they actually left, which was fantastic.
Now this is true suburbia for Portland. For some people, this is not going to be your flavor. Maybe it's too close together, or you just kind of feel like you don't want to be a part of this community. You want to be more eclectic. That's okay. Portland's got something for everybody, and we have a lot of areas to look at. Last time we did a video in this area, we actually were in this vicinity, and these were all new construction. We toured this one right here. It was one level with a huge backyard. I remember that. So not all of the yards in Villebois are small. There are some that have decent sized lots, and there's some that back up to green spaces. So don't think that just because it's a planned community, you don't have any yards. There's lots of options for little to no yards, but you also have houses that do offer it. So again, a lot of variety in the styles of homes. And it really also depends, I think, on where it's built in Villebois and maybe the era in which it was built. But
we're kind of starting to border the Sherwood border of Villebois, where Wilsonville and Sherwood meet. Not too far beyond here, you're going to get into some country properties. In fact, you've got like several horse farms and farm to garden type places just on the other side of those intersections.
Now up here on the right, there's some what looks to be like tennis courts, maybe even could pass for pickleball. And there's a playground. I remember we learned one time how many parks there were here. There's like so many parks. I had to rent a house in here for like a month about 3 years ago because we had a leak in our house and we had to stay in a rental until the restoration company got in and fixed everything. But I remember the wonderful thing about living in Villebois that I loved was every morning I'd take my dog out for a walk. And because it's flat, there's so many parks and so many sidewalks, I felt like I could get an easy 3 miles in, no problem, every morning. And then in the evening, I did the same thing. So I felt like I got out and walked a lot more. So if you're somebody who really wants that kind of aspect, this is kind of the best setup
really safe environment.
Yeah.
And here is another
park.
And I think what you'll notice is that there's so much green space built into these areas. I mean, they could have really come in and crammed in probably another several hundred homes if they had taken out all the green spaces and parks. But that's the beauty of this area and this planned community is they kept it so that you don't feel like you're just right on top of your neighbor all the time. That you have spaces where you can get away, which is absolutely fantastic.
The other thing I noticed, because when I was renting in here for that month, it was in the summertime and they had a big community in here. So if you're looking for a community that is active, they actually have events in the summertime. And I remember one time we walked out and there was like tents everywhere. It was almost like a little fair of some kind. And people were out and about and it felt like a little town square.
There's just a little bit of everything for everybody in this community, as we like to say.
Here, there's another community center, which we'll kind of drive by, but this is where we're kind of heading towards where they do a lot of those events in the summertime. Yeah, right up here on the right is one of their bigger clubhouses. It's got an outdoor pool and it's got parks on either side of it. And this is kind of where they do a lot of their outdoor stuff.
I mean, you could almost call this like a little mini Portland in terms of like the walkability. Not necessarily to tons of restaurants or anything like that, but just safe walkability.
We are just leaving Villebois. We'll be driving through a little bit longer so you guys can take a peek at the area. And we're gonna be heading to an area called Morey's Landing. So we'll kind of show you around there. It's another great neighborhood in this kind of general region near Villebois. But let's talk about schools for a minute. It's a top-rated school system here. The Wilsonville Westland School District is all one, which you might see a resonating theme because when we talk about the Tigard Tualatin School District, that's one, even though they're two separate cities. But the Westland Wilsonville School District is all in the same. And as you might know from previous videos or doing your own research, Westland's a pretty good school district and Wilsonville is in that school district. And a lot of people like that because this is a very family-oriented community here. And people, if they can't afford the Westland area or they want something a little bit more like areas that Wilsonville has to offer, they're probably going to get a lot more for their money in general. Wilsonville is not necessarily considered cheap, but it is definitely an alternative for a lot of people who, you know, maybe a starting out family who is looking to get a good amount of house that they can kind of raise their kids in until they're ready for that bigger house presence. We actually see a lot of people who buy into Wilsonville, sometimes in these planned communities, kind of start their families, and then as they grow and need a little more room to run, then they kind of look either in Wilsonville at some of the older neighborhoods that have maybe bigger lots, or they spread out to Westland because they can stay in the same school district, not lose that school district that they are usually coming to love, but then they get maybe a little bit more of a house. So we do see a lot of that in this kind of area.
Something to take note of, and this is a little bit off topic, is that the bus system does come into Villebois. So if you're somebody who you like the idea of a planned community, but maybe you don't want to have a car, you don't want to have to drive everywhere, the mass transit does come through the community, which is fantastic.
So we just pulled out of Villebois. So we're officially kind of back going down Browns Road.
Heading towards Wilsonville Road, which is kind of the main feeder through the city.
And we'll kind of take you on, like these are some older areas. There's apartment complexes up here on the left, still more walking trails in a park on the right. And then we'll get to kind of the main road and we'll get back on Wilsonville Road here at the very end, which is that main road we talked about where you pretty much have to use it if you live in Wilsonville just to get kind of to the freeway system or go to the other side of.
It'll eventually take you to Newburgh if you stay on it and continue to head west.
All right, so we're taking a right on Wilsonville Road and we're going to be heading towards kind of the Morey's Landing. It's a much older neighborhood than Villebois, but it's held its value. You know, they have really nice homes. What have you seen in that neighborhood when you're showing property there?
Yeah, it's a fantastic neighborhood. I mean, you're really in between the River Glen and then Morey's Landing. You're in kind of that 600 to the $1 million range, even mid-$1 million range. There's just such a great variety of homes. They've got a park in here as well. And, you know, these are all areas that have homes that people have lovingly maintained. It's just a really nice older, like early 90s community. So good mature landscaping and an older traditional style of home.
And the thing I notice when I come in here is that everybody really takes really good care of their yards. And the houses, while they're all unique, probably, you know, back in the 90s, you know, they didn't have to build the same floor plan everywhere. But it's just a nice established, you got a lot of traditional style homes. They have a really nice, like, lots of walkability here too. It's still flat. Like that's the nice thing about Wilsonville in general is it's walkable, which a lot of Portland is on hills and slopes and it's sometimes hard to be able to navigate getting out the door and walking without having to climb a hill, which hey, if you like to climb hills and get super active, that's awesome. But yeah, this is definitely a flatter area with sidewalks. And I would say that Wilsonville doesn't have an old presence, meaning there's not a lot of old homes. We don't have like bungalows. We don't have 100-year-plus homes here. If you do find them, it's like very few and far between. And most of the age groups of homes in here is like late 90s to the 2000s.
Up here we have the Morey Park. This is actually the community and the park are named after the man who owned the estate that the subdivision is built on. So it's really cute. They've got a whole bunch of bear statues. A lot of 3-car garages, again, in this community. That was a big thing back in the 90s, obviously. We like to have room to park all of our cars. Again, great walking community, as Ann mentioned. And then you've got some one levels sprinkled in here, which is really pretty fantastic. There is a small HOA, but it's pretty minimal when it comes to HOAs. And then, like we said, there's some actual homes that are down on the water, which is really kind of a total bonus.
Yeah, this is kind of unique. We don't have a ton of these, but these areas down here are beautiful, beautiful homes. Obviously, you're gonna pay the price to be on these waterfront style homes, but you are getting nice homes that have usually their own docks, and they're kind of further down the Willamette where it's less busy. So if you're looking to get on the water, you have a boat, you have an aspiration to have a boat. Throughout the years, we've shown these properties to people that, you know, they really want the water lifestyle, but they don't have nor want to pay some of the prices that you have to pay if you're getting into the Lake of Lake Oswego or on the Willamette closer into downtown. So Wilsonville's a little bit further down. So just to give you kind of like an idea of where the location of these places are. But yeah, this is Morey's Landing.
And this is just quintessential living, in my opinion, for Wilsonville. Like, I think it's just a great option when it comes to safety, security, good living for anybody who's looking for this type of life.
All right, so we left the Morey's Landing area. We're heading towards Graham's Oak Park, which we're all about the parks. We try to always emphasize parks because they're such a big part of our community and livability, and especially in areas like Wilsonville. You can see in this parking lot, there's quite a bit of cars parked just in the parking lot where people get out and they spend some time in the parking system. You've got public restrooms a lot of times at these like larger anchor type parks, but they're just a big part of our communities.
And there's multiple access points to this. This is right as you're about ready to head out of kind of town, but really fantastic, just lots of natural living just to enjoy.
We are now heading towards the other side of Wilsonville. And
heading east on Wilsonville Road.
Yep. So we're going to be crossing or going underneath the freeway overpass. And we wanted to kind of show you the lay of the land here on the main road, Wilsonville Road, which we keep pointing out because it is one of the main roads that you will be driving on if you choose to live in Wilsonville. Right up here on the right is kind of that area we started out where we were near the Fred Meyers and a lot of the restaurant shopping area on this side of the freeway. And now we're gonna head towards the opposite side, so you'll kind of see what that looks like. But again, it's not a super big town. And really when I was growing up, Wilsonville was a tiny little town. There was not all of this by any imagination. It was like, I think the Burger King and the Dairy Queen were like the hot spots to go to. And now they have a ton of like different shopping areas. The schools have been built up, just the neighborhoods. It really does have its own presence here. It's just a very nice, clean area to live in. And of course, they're always working on the roads around here.
Oh, I was just thinking, I was like, there's always construction.
Always.
So that is a mainstay of anywhere that you're gonna live, not just Wilsonville.
Now, you've got the freeway system right here, so you can go south on I-5 or north on I-5. So the convenience factor for Wilsonville is you're so close to the freeway system. You can also take the back roads. Like if you're heading towards the Tualatin, Tigard, Sherwood area, you do not have to get on a freeway. You can take the roads out in the countryside, which is beautiful. It's one of my favorite ways to get around. On either side of the freeway, really. If you're going on the east side of the freeway where we're heading, you can get the back roads to like West Linn, Lake Oswego, the Stafford area, even out towards like Canby, Aurora, all that if you need to. But yeah, you don't have to get on a freeway here in Wilsonville. All right, so we just went underneath the overpass. Now we're in kind of the main area here where all the shopping is. So we're gonna drive around a little bit just to kind of show you guys. You've got a Chipotle, you've got a drive-through Starbucks down here. You've got a mattress store. There's always a mattress store wherever you go. You've got Red Robin. You've got a lot of different convenience type stores.
Little restaurants in here, kind of even like more mom and pop, smaller, non-chain, which is our favorite here.
Yep. Got a little pub and grill over there. Mr. Donut. Don't have the Dunkin' Donuts franchise here. We do have the Dutch Brothers. We've shared that in other videos, but we have a lot of those popping up.
Sherry's unfortunately is no more.
Yep, that was kind of a diner of sorts that was around for many, many years. You do have a McDonald's, another mattress store.
Always important to have options.
You do have standard TV and appliance. That's where you get your appliances around here. This is kind of a newer build standard TV and appliance. That's where you can get all your appliances for your house. They have one out in Beaverton too. That's a really nice showroom. But
this is going to bring us around by the Bullwinkles, which is also important to know where.
Family Fun Center.
Heck yeah.
Yep, they've got like putt-putt, miniature golf. Yeah, it's just a place that's been around forever, since I was a kid.
You can see it from the highway, and then you always want to go there. And they've made improvements to the place over the years, and it's absolutely fantastic if you want a fun day out.
Again, good for families who are looking to spend an afternoon hanging out inside, because you know we do need some inside stuff here. It does get cold, rainy. Even though we have a beautiful day ahead of us that is in the 70s, that is not always the case here. You got some office buildings around here, banks, Ace Hardware, one of my favorite places to go, just to run over and grab something for the house to fix, because there's always something to fix. But yeah, you just have all this kind of shopping over here.
Yeah, we're heading towards Frog Pond. We're kind of going through a little bit of their industrial area. They've got a lot of office buildings over here. They do have a little medical office, but they've got little pockets of more business-oriented commercial areas. So we're just kind of passing through that real quick as we get toward Frog Pond, which is a newer development area. Multiple builders are working on this. You know, we're talking thousands of homes going in to this area. And again, a somewhat planned community as they've expanded and planned for the growth of Wilsonville over here on the east side.
And then over here, we've got another shopping area. You have your grocery store chain. You've got more banks.
You got a library across the street as well as the Memorial Park.
Yes, Memorial Park is their mainstay park. It's very big, it's very walkable. And we actually sold a condo recently to one of our clients who was kind of older, wanted a one-level condo. There's a really beautiful condo complex right across from Memorial Park. And she loved it because she can get out, walk to the library, she can walk to the park, she can walk to shopping. So for her, it was like a perfect way to downsize. And again, we kind of talk about there's something for everybody in Wilsonville. And one of our clients being kind of elderly and downsizing away from her like big family home that she owned for about 30 years. She loves it. We checked in with her recently and she was just tickled that she got this condo because it's her perfect fit. On your right, you have the school system here. There's actually a middle school and a high school right real close to each other on this main road. And we have some subdivisions up here that are homes built in the 90s that are classic traditional style neighborhoods that people like.
Big lots.
Bigger lots. It's called, one up here on the left is Wilsonville Meadows, right across from Beckman Creek Primary School. People like being close to the primary school. If they have kids, they typically love the idea that they can just walk down across the street or at least have a short bus ride.
There are also a lot of apartments and condos in the area as well. So again, as we always say, something for everyone depending on where you are price point wise.
So a lot of people love kind of moving into these older neighborhoods after they've had maybe the Villebois experience. So let me explain that. So those planned communities are fantastic and some people stay in them forever. We've even seen some people move up a size in that planned community. But some people want more yard, more space between houses. So they can come over here, still have the same school district, but they get these bigger yards that are really tough to find in older or brand new homes.
It's almost like when you've graduated from, planned communities are great if you don't want to have a lot of maintenance for whatever reason on your own property. It's a great introductory into home ownership.
I mean, I remember when my son was like a newborn till probably about 12, having minimal yard work was really important to us. And we lived in a house that had very little yard, but we were not unhappy about that. We were glad we didn't have to spend every weekend outside working on the yard. But then there came a point when it was like, okay, he wants to run around, play, so do we. We wanted a little bit more backyard, so then we bought a third of an acre. And that was great until now because you can go out there and play and hang out and spend more time there. But
so we're starting to run into some of these developments of the community Frog Pond, and there's, like we said, a lot of builders. There's Pulte,
Stonebridge,
and you can see now some of these homes do have a little bit of yard. Again, we are all about density because we need to be building. There was actually a Street of Dreams out in this area a couple of years ago, and so it's really getting a little bit of, we'll say, notoriety. Now these are not cheap homes. I mean,
what do you think they're going to pay for properties right now in the range?
In the Frog Pond area, you're about mid-sixes to get into something.
Yep.
And there's more kind of standard detached homes over here. You do have some of the alley entrance, or the cottage style, but a lot more traditional style of homes.
Now, some of these are completely built and they're established, but there is still more being built. They actually do have some single level floor plans in this neighborhood. We wish that builders would build way more of those options. Unfortunately for builders, it costs them in the way of land because you have to use up more land to build a one level. But there is such a huge demand. Some of the houses do have main level living options or a bedroom, bathroom on the main. Some builders are actually trying to do that almost in every community just because of the demand factor for it.
And those homes sell out super quick. So if that's something that's important to you, then make sure that you start looking sooner and than later, especially if you're looking for a new construction option to do that in.
We try to tell people that the main level living options are their own market. Because of the demand, they don't sell like the 2 stories. They can sell faster and for more money.
There's a 1 level right over there, and I bet you it's probably sold already.
Yeah, there's been a few 1 level communities around town where they've done a really good job of putting them in, and they blow out. Like, because everybody wants new construction 1 levels, and we just don't have a lot of communities with 1 levels. We're not like Arizona and Texas where there's been mass building and almost every house out there is probably main level living. But here it's like 2 stories are what they build. So
also, some of the builders are starting to put in our ADU or dual living type options because that is becoming a bigger demand for a lot of people, whether you're having parents moving in with you or just needing an option for maybe adult children.
That's a cute 1 level.
Yep, we got lots of stuff over here. I mean, just the builders are getting smarter. Now you're gonna pay for these. Everybody knows you price out the 1 levels, definitely more than the 2 levels.
It's all about supply and demand when it comes to 1 levels.
And again, you can just see a little bit, lack of mature. You're dealing with construction still. And sometimes there's no rhyme or reason as to how they go about building these homes out. They'll pick a spot, build it, and then move on. But if you're early into community, just know while you're saving on the price up front, you're going to be dealing with construction.
We're heading towards another part of Wilsonville, and that is called Charbonneau.
Now this one's kind of separate.
It's very separate.
But we're actually going to get back on the highway, so we're getting ready to make a left onto I-5 South so that we can get to Charbonneau.
In my mind, I don't see Charbonneau as Wilsonville because it's such a separate part of it, but it does share the same zip code. And technically speaking, when you're searching for properties, you're really looking in Wilsonville, but it's its own separate area. Now, one thing you should be aware of is that Charbonneau is not, I repeat, is not a 55 or older community, but it feels and acts like it because I would say probably the average range of age in that area is probably about 65 to 70. It looks like one, it feels like one, it has HOAs like one, and the bulk of the people that live in there are well into their 50s, 60s and on up, but it doesn't mean you have to be.
And it's got some really cool things. I mean, some of the HOAs within the Charbonneau area have things like the pools in the clubhouse and really fantastic amenities. And the houses are great. I mean, there's a lot of 2-story options, so it's not like it's a 1 level mecca.
There's definitely plenty of 2-story options. And again, something for everybody. They have condos, townhomes, single family, and they even have some luxury in there.
Well, and they also have just like 1 level attached homes. That kind of live like a detached almost. It's really almost hard to tell that you're attached to another property, but they're 1 level attached.
And I would say prices in there are not what you think. You think it's affordable because there's so many options, but quite honestly, it's hard to find inventory in there in the 400 range that doesn't maybe need some work. Keep in mind that Charbonneau was actually one of the first planned communities in the Wilsonville area. It was built back in the 70s, 80s time frame. You do have some stuff in the 90s, and there's a few sprinkled in that were probably in the last 10, 15 years.
Yep.
But what you need to know is that a lot of these properties are older, and so some of them haven't been completely updated, and that is where kind of the pricing structure changes a lot for people, because if something's been fully updated, like for example, they have these attached townhomes where it's a good size, maybe you're paying, it's like a 2,000 square foot style, but if it's not updated, you might be able to get in the 5s, but if it's updated, you can see them in the $600,000 and $700,000 range pretty easily. Also, some of them are on golf courses, so that changes the pricing structure.
Yeah, if you've got a view or if you're on the golf course, man, it definitely bumps your price up.
Now, we are currently on I-5 South, so you notice we just got on the freeway. We're gonna take the next exit literally at the end here. So you really can't take any back roads to Charbonneau because there is a river right here as we're approaching the Willamette River. But when we get off the freeway, we're gonna be taking a left and you'll notice it has its own like magnificent entrance. And by the way, we're kind of looking, you can't really tell from the freeway, but we're right now on a bridge going over the Willamette River. And there's all the boat docks for the single family homes that are on the Wilsonville side, as well as like the Charbonneau area. Because Charbonneau does butt up against Willamette. There are houses, really expensive houses, not very many, but some that look over the river. We've actually shown some to clients where they're looking for single family, something on the water, have a, river views. You're definitely going to be pushing the $1 million marker, depending on, and everything depends on condition, you guys, because when you look at older home neighborhoods, if something's been renovated and updated and there's not much to do, they're going to ask a premium, and sometimes they can get it because people do want to get into these neighborhoods, but they don't want to spend a bunch of money trying to update. We get that a lot from people like, I don't want to update anything, I just want move-in ready. Who doesn't, right? But lower price points, but similar style and age of homes.
Discussing location again, we're still going to stay very close to the I-5, so we're just going to go up here maybe half mile or so off the I-5, and then we're going to be in Charbonneau. It's going to be off to our left. And
also, just a real quick marker is Langdon Farms Golf Course, which is a public golf course. It's right over here on the right, so that's a public golf course that's really quite lovely. I just played that actually in a tournament recently. And we're taking a left on Charbonneau right here. So you can see this entrance is really pretty. It's got a big sign.
Two entrances, by the way. It makes a big loop.
Yep.
So
now you can tell right away, this is tree-lined streets. This is mature landscaping. These trees have been around a while.
Yes, this is gorgeous. It is a beautiful community, by the way.
A very beautiful community. Yeah, they do a great job in here of just keeping it up. And it's a pretty sprawling community, I would say. Yeah. They've got a lot of like, not just mature landscaping, but they got little waterfall waterways.
It's a little wild when you actually look at the acreage of these communities. I mean, we're talking hundreds of acres.
Yeah.
Just kind of wild. It doesn't feel like it as you're driving through, but I think when I was looking, this is like about a 400 to 500 acre community. Lots of homes, obviously, but lots of space has been dedicated to just keeping it beautiful and keeping it very Northwest feeling. We get this request all the time that people, they don't necessarily want to have their own trees, but they want trees around. They want to feel like they're still in nature, and they don't want to feel like they're in a baby brand new community, which is definitely not what you're going to feel here. But you have, some of these apartments and condos over to the left right now, and then you've got some of these detached and semi-attached properties on the other side.
Now, the unique thing about Charbonneau is it is a golf course community. So throughout Charbonneau, you'll get peaks as you're driving around of different parts of the golf course. Some of the houses and townhomes are on the golf course, some are not. You don't have to be a part of the golf course community. So if you're worried like, hey, I don't want to golf, I don't want to pay extra, you don't have to. But you do get the beauty of the golf course. So we've got a great fairway view right here on the right. And then they do have a community center, which we'll drive up to here in a little bit, where they do have like a clubhouse. They've added on to that, and they do have like a great little bakery where you can get a pastry and some coffee or tea or whatnot. That's kind of their main community area, if you will, where you can kind of go in. They do have a couple of restaurants in there. Nothing swanky. It's not high end. It's not what you would think of a golf course community maybe in some areas like this. It's pretty casual, but that's just kind of the vibe for Wilsonville area.
Yeah, got a little man-made pond here.
And we're approaching right now the clubhouse. So you can kind of see it off there in the distance. That's kind of the renovated, newer section of it. There's some townhomes that are butting up against it.
And we did do a video on Charbonneau specifically. So if you want a deeper dive into this area, definitely check that one out. You got your activity center office. I mean, we are serious about activity here.
Yep, they've done a nice job renovating the clubhouse as well. And this is kind of the area where we were talking about there's a bakery and there's a real estate office. There's a wealth management in here. There's a couple of restaurants that are, I think there was a Thai restaurant in here at one point.
Too.
I don't know if they still have it there. There's a little massage area. But yeah, they've actually recently done a facelift on this entire building out here. It looks pretty nice.
Great, yeah.
French cuisine, Lumiere. Okay, so it's one of the restaurants in here.
And then here's this fantastic, I think it's Lux Bakery.
Yeah, Lux Bakery. We love that place. You can get desserts. It's kind of cute the way they decorate on the inside. So yeah, it's a great little community area. All right, we're driving through Edgewater, which is kind of a private residence. A lot of these houses are a little bit more spendy on the upscale, and They also have kind of their own clubhouse here in the middle. All of these houses, for the most part, with the exception of a few, have views of the river. And these homes are large. So if you're not looking to have a big house or manage a big yard or whatnot, then these houses a lot of times have 3-car garages, bigger lot sizes. Again, they're just designed for people that want kind of that more private feel. It does have a gated entrance. And so it's really more for people that want a little bit more of a substantial house, but they kind of want to stay in this, unique, exclusive area of sorts. Not too many houses here for sale. When they do come up, a lot of times people like to look at them because we have a ton of 1 levels in here. A lot of main level living. Again, we talk about how hard it is to find that, especially that is in great shape. But you can see here at the end, we kind of met the end of the road. There's just not a lot to show you here, but we want to kind of go in here and give you a sneak peek of what it looks like for some of these.
If you're relocating to Portland and want one of the most balanced suburbs for lifestyle, schools, and amenities, the Wilsonville Charbonneau area should be at the top of your list.
Yeah, whether you're looking for that golf course community or a family-friendly neighborhood, this might be an option for you, but that's where we come in. If you're looking to make a move, we have helped dozens of people choose this area and get more specific about what they're looking for. So reach out to us. All of our information is in the description below.